Once again, I'm back for another interview, and this time, it's a world exclusive with a former composer at Konami. I had the pleasure of chatting with Yasuhiro Ichihashi, who joined Konami back in 1997. Of all the titles he worked on, there were 5 Castlevania titles he co-composed, arranged, or did sound direction on: Harmony of Despair, Order of Ecclesia, Dracula X Chronicles, and 2 of the Pachislot games. This interview is specifically regarding his work on the Castlevania series, his time working with Michiru Yamane, and more. Please keep in mind that the questions were asked and translated using Google Translate, and I am putting the interview in both English and Japanese on the Castlevania Dungeon forum so the written text can be documented. There'll be a link down below for that. As always, thanks so much for appreciating and loving the work that I put into this channel when it comes to Castlevania, and I hope you enjoy this interview. How did you get hired at Konami back in 1998? I originally worked in game sound production and composing, and when I heard from someone at a record label that they were recruiting staff, I applied. I think I joined Konami in 1997. Castlevania has a very specific sound style involving influences from classical music, specifically Baroque style. Did you find composing for the series limiting because of the focus on that style as the backbone of the Castlevania sound? I had some experience in orchestration and conducting, so I didn't find it too difficult. I actually enjoyed reproducing it on a platform with a limited number of pronunciations. Dracula X Chronicles was the first Castlevania title that you composed and arranged for, along with Michiru Yamane in the Castlevania series, which is a remake of Castlevania Rondo of Blood. How was it working with Michiru Yamane? Can you tell us a little bit about how you decided which tracks were done by which composer? Michiru is a very kind person, so I was able to work on the project without any nervousness. The writers of Chronicles wanted to keep the members as young as possible to serve as a bridge to the next generation. The placement was basically assigned according to the wishes of the person in charge. The coordination with Iga was quick, and I think I was given a lot of freedom in what I did. I feel that it was a valuable experience and achievement for the members as well. You also had the role of sound director in Harmony of Despair, Order of Ecclesia, and Dracula X Chronicles. Can you explain a little bit about what that role involved? What was your experience as a sound director in comparison to your role as a composer? As a sound director, my main responsibility is to oversee the work as a whole, from building the world of the work to sound effects, audio asset management, and processing load management. Everyone on the Dracula project team had a deep understanding of sound, and I was impressed by how easy it was to implement the project. It was a great team. Do you have a favorite song you composed for all of the Castlevania games you worked on? Order of Ecclesia would be Sorrow's Distortion. and for Dracula X Chronicles, the ending song, Daybreak. I understand you also worked on the soundtracks to Pachislot Akumajo Dracula 1 and 2. Was your role with these games also composer and sound director? Did you approach the project differently than you would for a more traditional Castlevania game? My main role was to provide music data for slot game soundtracks and explain the situations used. Credit was given to project team members. The original songs are also charming and wonderful. I didn't create new arrangements for those games. Castlevania's music has seen musical genres influence the compositions, from electronic dance, rock, jazz, funk, classical, and more. Is there a musical genre you didn't get to use during your time composing that you would have liked to utilize? I hadn't really thought about it much. I didn't want to go too far, because I wanted to keep the religious tone to a minimum, but a pure Baroque or Gregorian style would look good. What equipment, software, or hardware did you use to create the music of Castlevania for the games you worked on? I mainly used Pro Tools, and the other members mainly used Logic Pro. Since Nintendo DS is played using a sound source IC, we created a composition environment by allowing direct MIDI playback of the emulator sound source. But for other titles, we tried to incorporate live performance as much as possible. What was the average day like working at Konami? Did the Castlevania team mostly spend time together, or were things more solitary? I worked closely with the Dracula team, but because I was often working on 4 or 5 titles at the same time, the only time I was able to work on the Dracula project all day was when I was on a business trip to LA for audio recording. However, all the project members were very powerful and supported each other in a way that made it easy for us to work together. So I remember the sound implementation proceeding very smoothly. I remember the strange feeling that we were able to communicate our intentions even without many words being exchanged. What was it like working with Koji Igarashi? Did he have any specific requests when it came to creating or directing the music? After talking with Iga about the general outline, we first created a rough sketch and asked them to listen to us to confirm the direction. Of course, there were specific instructions regarding the songs, but I get the impression that they really valued the individuality of the participating artists. After that, there were many styles in which the project members worked together to figure out whether it would suit the stage and how to arrange it. So I'm out of questions, but I did ask Yasuhiro if he would like to share any kind of final thoughts. And so he said this: I would be happy if I could express my gratitude to everyone who played the game. I hope that the Devil's Castle will be revived again due to our desires. I couldn't agree more. Thanks again to Yasuhiro Ichihashi for sitting down and chatting with me about Castlevania and about his career. And once again, thanks to everyone for liking this video, sharing it on social media. It really helps get the word out. And I can't wait to share more Castlevania content in the future.